allow the children to have the budget every year.
It's okay. Off your mind. It's okay.
She
Off your mind.
like me.
Chai! Now wow, people wey suppose talk truth to power don't off mic. And if we talk, now 500,000 they go summer us, call them hate speech. But fear not, Maiyegun don't come. Him go torchlight every corner, nooks and cranny of all these bad people where they spoil our country. So my people make we loud, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary politico, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. And in the touchlight every corner, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Okay, some people be they holla say they want the power. Chai, them be promise us say we go get light and power. Nah. Them hustle sote they can't get the power. But now they know they do anything with the power. Every day, dollar just they get the higher power over naira. See them talk say make we off mind, but thank God say Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you loud, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make we shout, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary politico, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This one not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Person where they do evil, no one make person talk. Them say that Maiyegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Maiyegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day, then they take money in bulk. Woman picking, they the street they hawk. Still them talk say, make we no talk. But thank God say, Maiyegun don't come. So my people make you loud, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. My people make you shout, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, man of the masses, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun diary politico, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. This man not the off in mind, oh, yo, yo. Maiyegun don't come, oh, yo, yo. Aha.
Hello there.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀, àmọ̀ dódódódó. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀, àmọ̀ dódódódó. Maiyegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ aráyé. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Ṣé ń lọ ní Maiyegun dá wa sí?
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are joining me tonight or this morning. It is Maiyegun live. You can always start your morning like this, listening to Maiyegun the gist. And if you have free time, you can also call in. It is an open mic too. You should just read the caption, read the description, share it, like it. That's all you have to do. Good morning to you. Southern governors of Nigeria, they met in Abeokuta and they had some resolutions. So the northwest governors They are currently like organizing a 3-day security meeting over Banditry. Somebody said, if you want to end insecurity in Nigeria, walk into those rooms where these guys were having those meetings and put handcuffs on every living soul in that room. You see how terrorism would disappear in Nigeria and many other things. In fact, some Nigeria problems. Share this. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them, Maiyegun today. If Nungu doesn't give a damn about us, the North re-echoes this again. They said he was invited to this Northeast security meeting, but he sent shitty man. They are not happy. So today, thank you so much for joining me. And please remember, you need to get yourself in tune into what we are actually talking about, okay? So that will help a lot. I have a few stops for us today, and they can be, as usual, the brunch time with Maiyegun. This could just be an appetizer, or it is an appetizer. Sometimes it comes so loaded, so enriched, that you could barely tell the difference between the brunch time and the prime time. However, let's start from what is going on in Kenya. Okay, so we can start from Kenya, then end up in Kasina, then Abeokuta, and then a few places like that. Today as well is the D-Day in Kenya. June the 25th, 2024 is the D-Day where the protesters in Kenya, the Gen Z, actually marked as the day they call the day of a showdown. Now, today is the day they expect the parliament to announce the passage of the controversial finance bill of 2024, and the president of their country will sign it. Now, it's been smoky, sweaty, it's been bloody too. But the half part of the day, I have captured part of that, and I will share that with you. So, this morning, or prior to this, the president of Kenya, Ruto, who said he was going to start negotiating with the protesting Kenyans. But that's not what he did. Immediately after that speech, Kenyans said they didn't trust him. He's never going to change anything. Indeed, the government of Kenya, on the order of Ruto, they mobilized their military. They mobilized their secret police as well. They have their own DSS in Kenya too. Okay? And those secret police have been picking people up from their homes, okay, to make sure that maybe they won't be able to organize, mobilize, and assemble today. So some others, right, have been kidnapped just on the road, or even during the protest in the last few days, they have been kept away. And they've mobilized their military to not just use canisters anymore. I'm talking about don't use tear gas anymore. They are actually using live ammunitions today. Some of the videos are really gory, so I didn't bring those. I brought in the energy, the coordination, and the protest. I mean, the protest is no longer just in Kenya. In Nairobi, Mombasa. Is it called Mombasa? Mombasa. And so many other suburbs like that across the country. Politicians who are like state governors in Kenya, they have been threatening protesters that their state, nobody should protest, like typical of Nigeria. But there is something significant here. They have been shot, they have been killed, they have been threatened, harassed. But do you know something? They have not backed down. And today is going to determine if all of that effort, all of that protest, all these days, the past 1 or 2 weeks, if it's going to be meaningful, if it's going to actually change anything, that will be today. So the first part of today is what I'm going to share with you first. Then later tonight, we will see how it all goes down. So let's go to Kenya this morning. Remember, I have to put together a lot of pieces of clips together to make this long watch, okay? So the first one was what happened last night when their secret police went into the homes of the suspected organizers of the protest. They were picking them up from their homes. Here is one of them from the start of this video. And then you see all other stuff that happened, including the mobilization this morning.
Eh. Muziki saa 8 ikiwa tu Gracias.
I told you it's a long watch. I've got like about 1 hour collection of videos of what is going on in Kenya. Tonight is going to really be more steamier because things are becoming more hotter and hotter. Right now in Kenya, it's sometimes around past 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's getting steamier and steamier. They have already approached the parliament where all the lawmakers are, and the security guys have started shooting live rounds of ammunition. In fact, there were already bodies lying on the streets in front of the parliament in Kenya as we speak. There is video where they are picking bodies. Obama's aunt, I think, Obama's sister also appeared there on a CNN video. He appeared in a CNN video where she was right there rubbing her eyes because she just got shot tear gas too. So it's becoming steamier and steamier. There is this young man that kind of has a message, not just for the rulers of Kenya, but for all Africa generally, okay? But primarily for the government of Kenya, the supposed donors of Kenya, that they are toying with something that they do not fully understand. And if they check their history, generally as Kenyans, I will let you listen. Listen to this.
Hello again. So I saw a TikTok video that was shared in one of our groups by a work colleague about this young guy who's talking about Eldoret him being from Eldoret and Eldoret being his business. God damn it. I mean,
God damn it. We are coming for you. We are coming for you guys.
It was very entertaining to watch, but that video is so rich in terms of the kind of description of where we are as a country, and it got me thinking once again. So I'm going to use a couple of expressions and metaphors to kind of clarify what it is that I mean. And if I'm reaching, tell me I'm reaching. It's fine. I don't mind being told if I'm wrong. So using Michaela Wrong's, the title of Michaela Wrong's book, It's Our Turn to Eat, I'm going to try and divide the various eras that we've had in this country by that expression. So we start with Jomo Kenyatta. He is our independence leader, and he quite literally says to the people around him, it is my turn to eat, mine. Read Duncan Degwa's book, and you will understand that Jomo Kenyatta wasn't playing when he said that. Thus, the accumulation of wealth around the Kenyatta family becomes more personal than it is about them and their friendships. I mean, obviously, there are some people who also benefit quite a bit. Then comes Moi. He is also around during the independence, but he doesn't quite have the clout that Jomo Kenyatta has. So what do? You build a political constituency of consensus around eating. Fuata nyayo. Expand the cake. A lot of people have written about how then public services, public land, etc. become now fair game for people in government, and this is across the board. Then comes the 1990s, the liberation. Actually, what happened during the Moi regime that's significant, people who are involved in academia, education, the arts, that is demonized, like roundly, elevating Moi over time to this deity, this political deity that cannot be questioned, the political giraffe. Remember that expression, right? You can see far. Anyhow, those children who were chased away, who became part of Kenya, the people who were beaten in the 80s and the 90s, they wrestled power from Moi, and 2002 happens. Mwai Kibaki is chosen as the leader. Then comes Michaela Wrong's expression, it's our turn to eat. Why? Because the people who are formerly in the opposition and formerly on the margins have recognized, hey, kuna mwanya hapa, let's do this. And thus you have Anglo-Lyceum, Triton, various scandals where people in government and some of them outside government, their cronies, now become part of this thing. And then 2007 happens. Why? Because there is a very important question that's asked by the public, obviously led by Raila Odinga, but by the public. How is it that you guys are eating to our exclusion? It's a very core question, and so powerful that it almost collapses the country. But you know what happens then. Handshake, something. We get to 2010, we get the constitution, and then we get to 2013. Now this is where things get interesting. Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto take power again. And what do you see as the attitude around public resources, public wealth and leadership? It is our right to eat. Independent. Primitive accumulation of wealth. Refer to your entrepreneur starter packs. And debt to be able to finance that wealth, because there's only a limit that you can steal from the public, and thus we are now in the position that we are in. Now, what I think is happening, and why I referenced the young man's video at the beginning, was that in as much as there were things that went wrong, there were certain things that were done right, and he says this very powerful. He says,
Mulitusomesha and wanasema education is a very powerful equalizer. You fucked up when you took us to school.
And that is so true. Now, people think that he's talking about schooling. I think, maybe I'm reaching here, but I think the education that he's talking about is the kind that allows him to question. Yes, I have education. Education is supposed to be the future. These are the things that I was told by my parents, by our leaders. You get a good education, you get a good job, you should be sorted. Why is it that I can't get a job? Why is it that even that education is being stolen from me? And why is it that when I try and raise my voice, I'm all stupid? Right? Now, another passage or piece of literature that would be important here to reference is the Allegory of the Cave by Plato. I'm not going to go into it, I'll spare you the details. But essentially, what we've had now, looking at the opposite end of the scale in terms of people who've questioned the status quo, is you have the Mau Mau, right? The Mau Mau deliver freedom. They know that it's for a specific purpose. They question why it is that land is being accumulated the way it is. What happens? Guys are unalive. Look at Baimungi Marete, and the Mau Mau becomes a proscribed group until 2003, right? Then you have the generation of people in academia, Rangogi Wavion was, and all of these people who then were creating literature and thinking around protest, around what leadership should become. What happens? They are expelled, they are driven underground. Then you have those people who come and become part of the political class, but what then happens? The allure of wealth is too tempting for them to be able to actually deliver the promises that they say will be done. And now you have a generation of children who have been watching and learning. Watching and learning. A friend of mine put it to me brilliantly. We always thought that the Gen Zs weren't interested in politics. But what might have been happening is that they were watching. They just didn't care, right? And now that they are awake, guys are surprised that, Allah, these guys have a political education that's far more astute than ours, and they are more creative than us in being able to deliver on the promises that they want, to force their hand. Now, it's still early days. Obviously, things can change, but you have to admire the full circle in which we've come to this point. So, in closing, let's look at this moment as one of education and what the true meaning of education is, and perhaps the best kind of education that has brought us to this moment. Education through experience. It might not be in your history book, but because you lived it, you know it, and nobody can deny that what you're saying is true. Kwa hayo mengi na machache, stay safe.
Do you get the message, right? So the guy took us through the political regimes, governments in Kenya. Okay, how every successive powerful regimes in Kenya, they've been built around the individual that was the leader. And the wealth it was always like, it's our turn. It's our turn now to eat. When it gets to your turn, you can do whatever you like. So it's always been like that, from the Jomo Kenyatta to all those enlisted. Then he now came back to what is really happening right now. The majority of supposedly the older generation are not possibly understanding is that over time, people who have written literatures, okay, people who have preached morality, people who have did their best to indoctrinate morality into the system, into the people. They have been run underground. And then you see the unpatriotic criminals who have now taken over power, running things, then writing the history, praising themselves, making themselves look like the saviors of the people. A lot of us have read a lot about some of their past leaders, past this, past that. Good, bad, ugly about them. We never lived through them. Something that is going on currently in Africa is that The education that they are giving to us in the classroom is not really the education that you will need to survive. It is experiencing whatever these guys are doing. Now, this is not you reading about it. You are experiencing it. Nobody can tell you that what you are saying is wrong. Like they will say, it's normal thing. If it is your turn, you yourself no go steal ni. But there are people who kind of, they can't believe that there is a generation that is so educated to understand the effect of stealing the public fund by few people, the effect of that on the majority. Gen Z in Kenya that have been protesting and demanding that the finance bill 2024, you see, their finance bill 2024 is like a 2024 budget kind of, but it's sort of a law that will allow the government to overtax them. They are already going through hell economically, just like Nigeria, but they are kind of keeping their head above water. But governments want to further sink them and drown them. That is why. So the younger people who understand, who are seeing their politicians living large, buying expensive cars, building expensive deals, buying themselves yachts, buying themselves, jets, going on expensive holidays, organizing expensive banquet or what they call that, dinner. But they are telling the people that people need to pay them more. People need to squeeze more. People need to suffer more for the country to be better. So these younger people are like, no, that's not right. Even though they didn't teach them in school, they are living the economy that these guys are actually wasting on them. I'll keep reminding you, or keep showing us, or keep updating us the development from Kenya. Like I said, today is the D-Day. If they're able to force the hand of the old rogues, the criminals in government, but that will be a milestone because it will be affecting the lives of millions, including those who are not supporting them too. Or more, they had people out who were like, protesting. It's called the counter protest against the protesters. But I'll bring that to you later in the evening. But let's go to Ibadan. No. Let's go to Abeokuta, where Southwest governors met. And I'm sorry, Southern governor, rather. It was supposed to be the 17 Southern governors. However, I think it's only about 14 or 13 of them that attended. So, their entrance.
Thank you.
It's like I know one bed. So the reason why they were meeting is because of so many reasons, right? They said the insecurity, the primary reason why they were meeting is because of the insecurity. Okay. Then they now elected Dubious Dapo as the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum, where they now presented their resolution, which includes that he said we need state police. They need state police. Here is their presser. Quick.
sat and have engaged for the past 4 or 5 hours, and we have come to the headship and the leadership of the forum. It's indeed an honor that I announce to you Prince of the Southern Dr. Charles Soludo, as the Professor Charles Soludo, as the Vice Chair of the Southern Governors Forum. I will hand over the mic to our chairman, Prince Abeokuta, just for 1-2 minutes, and he will tell us the direction we're taking. Just for 1-2 minutes, please, gentlemen, just bear with us.
Your Excellencies, my brother governors from the South-South, Southeast, and Southwest. It's indeed an honor, and a humble one at that, that I have been nominated to lead the Southern Governors Forum alongside with Professor Charles Soludo, the Governor of Anambra State, as the Vice Chairman of this forum. I first want to thank all the governors, the 17 governors, for coming to Abeokuta today for this meeting, the first meeting in the last about 3 years. It underscores the commitment and the determination to ensure that the southern states occupy their pride of place. And I also want to thank them for this confidence so reposed in myself and Professor Soludo, and pledge that we will ensure that this confidence is justified. We have discussed a whole wide-ranging number of issues. But because of time constraints, myself and Professor Soludo will make available to you pressmen the details of our communique that reflects our aspirations, our determination, and the new and positioned forum. Thank you very much for listening to me and all of you.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt. I bring you a message of hope. We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
Southern Governor Fahaji meeting is that they are this in their communique, okay? So they are going to work together by providing land for agriculture. They are going to work together to make sure that they get a state police. And they are going to work together to make sure that they lie to you again next time. It's all balderdash, okay? So they are begging the supposedly North, okay, to let them protect the people of southern Nigeria from the Fulani terrorists and the other terrorists. That's practically what they are doing there, right? Well, it's nothing really interesting, so to say. But in northern Nigeria, Northwest, where they were having this security meeting, you know, yesterday, it was a shitty man that sent a note of warning to the government of Sokoto State through the deputy governor that attended the meeting. Now, all these things they are hearing about the Sultan and all of that, he has just 2 words. No, sorry, 3 words. That's not how I put it. Okay, he said, don't do it. The security meeting continues. They are deliberating on how to end banditry. But they are sad because, according to them, this meeting is an opportunity for Tinubu to come and tell the North his plan for northern Nigeria to keep them safe. But now, say Nigeria don't polukumushi already. Majority are just deceiving themselves. Land, as they begin to complain, before people begin to throw them pure water, stone, and everything. How many of such meetings saved you from Boko Haram's 8 years? And you saying that Tinubu no care about you. Boko Haram was there for 8 years. How much of his care saved you or saved your people? So last, Shakote, it's sympathetic, anything. So while they were doing that, before I finally decided to plug in and listen to this, there's a governor, Dauda Lawal or something. He delivered a note. I'm going to play that for you, for us. But while I was trying to kind of, hop on the, Casina's boss to go witness this meeting. And so I just see help, kilo happen, chairman APC don't know. Waiting this man do you? I don't know. Waiting still, they don't tell me. How could they do this to the chairman of APC, Abeokuta in Lagos State? The mega shitty. Exactly. That's the question I asked myself as well, because it was like, what the hell? So some said that the chairman's cup is full. Others said that the chairman's, chairman's overbearing, whatever, right? Was no longer tolerable to some people who now set him up for this beating. I'll go see that clip. Give me a sec. APC chairman, Lagos State, yeah? Not the right one.
If you want peace in Libosha, call peace in Yusuf, call Aisoku, call Ejibadero, call Aduni. That is why you can have peace in Libosha. Never work on a play, our medical.
Decide. So they beat their own chairman up. And then Dauda, the man talking about, you see most of it, right? The people that are these northern political criminals, right? They are now telling their people that Tinubu doesn't give a damn about them, right? They are right somehow, right? But they are also the people who are kind of giving excuses for these terrorists. In their speech, in what they are saying, they continue to say the reason for the insecurity is because of the poverty in the north. It's because the government has abandoned the fulanis. The government didn't do the for fulanis. They say government abandoned the fulanis in northern Nigeria. That's why they are killing and kidnapping people, right? But guess those who are making that complaint? They are governors. They are the government. Listen to part of this.
Situations permanently. The theme of this summit, livelihood, building resilience, and promoting peace and security. Addressing the nexus of banditry, extremism, and climate change in northwest Nigeria resonates with our experiences in our forest states. We are suffering from banditry and devastating effect of climate change in Zamfara State as well as other part of northern Nigeria. Your Excellencies, in Zamfara, we're implementing various initiatives to enhance security, revitalize agriculture, as well as promote sustainable livelihood. Key among these include the establishment of Security Trust Fund, establishment of state-owned task force named Community Protection Guards to combat banditry as well as other related crimes in the state and support our neighboring states in tackling these menace. We're strengthening community engagement and social cohesion to address communal conflicts. Education is a priority area, considering its vital role in addressing social, political, as well as economic challenges. We have also introduced various vocational and skill acquisition programs for self-reliance as well as crime intervention. In spite of this effort, we acknowledge that our challenges have remained very, very complex and multifaceted. We need continuous and renewed approaches to contain these challenges. And therefore, we require coordinated kinetic as well as non-kinetic strategies to address banditry and criminality while dealing with the challenge of climate change in the Northwest. And I therefore suggest the following. 1, we need to foster collaboration and information sharing among our states as well as security agencies to set up a coordinated approach with the neighboring Niger, Niger State, the great bandits, as well as their collaborators. We must use non-kinetic approach from position of strength. I don't think we should negotiate with these people at a point of weakness. If we do, I believe we will not get the mileage we require to deal with the situation. We need to also invest in agriculture as well as livestock production. If you look at northern Nigeria, it's a region that is blessed and is purely an agrarian economy. What do we do to encourage our people? We need to go back to agriculture. But then, how do you go back to agriculture with the kind of challenges we're facing, especially kidnapping, where people, when they go to farm, the next thing is they are being kidnapped. It is a very, very serious challenge, and something drastic needs to be done. We need to also develop climate resilient agriculture and water management system. Why am I saying this? Most of our farmers rely on dry farming. I think we need to go beyond that. We need to come up with strategies and measures.
The great youth of Nigeria.
Great.
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 Greatest, yo. The great youth of Nigeria.
Great.
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 Greatest, yo.
Yo, greatest, boo. That was Kolu speaking to the, I don't know, so many of you will see probably. I'm going to be bringing some of the videos from the campaign when they are doing their charade campaign. Kolu was a whole content, I swear. A lot of you probably just need to be reminded of those times, when we always kind of sit down here and laugh. And then the Abeokuta will say, whether we laugh it or not, Tinubu is going to be president. I said, amen. Now then Tinubu became president. They now started shouting, Ebi in power, oh, Ebi in power. This is not what you promised us. So, Kilo promise greatest Nigeria, the greatest Nigeria youth. Great.
The great youth of Nigeria.
Great.
Greatest.
Yo, greatest yo. Surely, kò ní dá anybody tó bá wò pé we are in suppose come here, come advise me, say, at least give us way forward. Oguma pa dànù ni o. Show understand? Oguma finish here ni o. If you come to this platform, almost for like a straight, almost every day like this, so I always bring everything from all of the charade, everything going on. I was bringing them here. I say, they come they show them the shaggy now, right? And then others are just like enjoy it too, and they are coming to Maiyegun's diary political to come and ask for way forward. Abeokuta me finish here. Mo serious or no? Abeokuta me finish here because way forward latibo call you. Person will say una no need him body, now brain you need. Now una come to talk say we need to go back to agriculture. Tinubu need to come to northern Nigeria to come and tell you his plan. Kini plan is Tinubu. When everything is all failure. Where's that clip?
If we lend ourselves to innovation, we can create wonders. Yeah, it's a successful again, a town hall, different from blue, Bulaba. If we learn all classes, you know what they call F level? When you get failure in all the subjects that you take. F9, F8, F9, F8, FF, double F. That is his name. I don't want to sit here and reveal all my strategy. I am the first speaker among the three of us running. So they will spy on me. So you will have a limited answer here today. Another day you can bring me back. But that's part of what I do.
Fellow Nigerians, this is just the beginning.
Fellow Nigerians, this is just the beginning. So yes, let's leave all of that and go see more political drama. And you know where we're going to see political drama better? Guess. Rivers State. Well, there's something, right? Yesterday when I said that they discovered thousands of arms from on ports in rivers. It wasn't Calabar, it was River State. Remember that. There was also a truck that somehow, right, lost control of the truck. And it was actually like transporting gas. I don't know what kind of gas. Or somebody saw this somewhere in River State yesterday. So now then I know, say, there is fire on the mountain. There is fire on the mountain top. Run, woo.
Happening now at Abeokuta. The gas tanker, fully loaded, just fell. And it's pouring out. Happening now at Abeokuta. Ew. Oh boy, this any.
Is it wrong? You know one wrong. So, Mo enter the city. Mo enter the states. This is from yesterday. We no go our house, you. Those were the supporters of the outgone local government chairmen in Rivers State. And right now, their belief is that, no, we are still the chairmen of Rivers State local government areas. And remember, the police have already taken over the local government councils, like the council secretariat. They say they are doing so to prevent vandalism and stealing, right? But here is, I think I shared this with you last night, right? I want you to listen again and then the follow-up, right? Anosike, or what's that guy's name? The Ikwere local government, the former Ikwere local government chairman told the police right there and said, I am still the chairman of this local government and we will be resuming here every day. Now, what people believe is that Wike has activated his men. Let's show them who really controls Rivers. And right now, all over the state, the 23 local government areas, they are witnessing what you just saw there. I'm going to bring you more, though, right? Or yesterday.
Ameka, yeah. Ameka, yeah. Eleona Sake, yeah. Sagrio, yeah. Our area commander, we are here as Ikwere local government people. Speaking to you is Dr. Wanosike Samuel, the properly elected chairman of Ikwere local government council, who is still serving this council. Today, I have 5 months and 25 days remaining in office by the laws made by Right Honorable Martins Amehuli-led House of Assembly. But we are here to state a few facts to you, and we want you to please help us put it on record. We got credible information and evidences are awash in the entire nation that those who are members of caretaker committee in the name of civil servants who wants to be judges in their own matters have gone to connive with hoodlums, criminals that have been chased out of this local government, to come and intimidate and harass the Nigerian police to leave the council, so that they will come and loot the remaining property that we have provided for the people of Ikwere local government. Like we told you the day we came last, nothing on earth will make us break the laws of Nigeria. Nothing on earth will make us disobey your orders. We have been patient with the Nigerian police. Even when the hot sorts, we still understand that the constitution is the grand norm and that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. And if the judiciary have said all parties maintain status quo, we don't think it will be reasonable for whether a criminal or Noge workers who are caretaker committee members to come and disobey the order of the Inspector General of Police and the Commissioner of Police, Rivers State Police Command. But let Gani Fayemi say it will be lawless for it to be lawful in an unlawful situation. It's not possible. Anarchy. I want to say, sir, we are not here to ferment trouble. But if peradventure they want to take their luck far, we are here to state we own this council. I speaking to you and these men and women here labored, inconvenience ourselves to rebuild this council from scratch when these hoodlums who are struggling to come into this council embezzled all that was available to them and refused to work for this council. Today, the council is a beautiful edifice. It's an envy of all, and everybody is doing everything to come and occupy the council. It's a good thing.
Nuisance lele. Nuisance lele. Nuisance.
It is important to clear that is an absolute nuisance. Okay, Rivers State local government areas were not created 4 years ago or 3 years ago when that Anosike or something became the local government chairman of Ikwere. But to him, it is like the local government started existing when he became the local government chairman. And he cannot look away and walk away from the local government he built. So the policeman he was talking to right there responded that, listen, this thing is easy. We are just obeying order.
The interest of our people at heart, because we are all brothers. All of us are brothers. Even the other people, we are brothers. It's the same equality. And that is why, and people are interrelated in one way or the other. That is why I am always begging everybody that fighting will never be the best solution. And I want to thank you for your approach so far. As far as the council is concerned, you see us, since I have never left this place. Whether you come in the midnight, you will see me. I'll be here. And I will be the last person to disobey the order of the Inspector General of Police and my Commissioner of Police. As far as this local government council secretariat is concerned, it is still under lock and key, and the police is in charge until the IG gives us another directive. But the directive today is keep the place sealed and maintain the place, and that is why I have remained here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So that former council chairman, then they just stayed there next to the council where they are sharing drinks since yesterday. I'll bring you the photo, but I've got so much I had to share as well, and I don't think I have all the time. We're supposed to also kind of take calls too. So let's just continue our gist. The police IG they are talking about, listen to him on this same Rivers issue.
You are all aware it's in court. The police will wait for the outcome of the court case. Whatever the court decides is what the police is going to do. Yes, we have our men barricading the secretariats as at now. We are doing that to prevent breakdown of law and order in that state. You are all aware that in what happened 2-3 days ago, we lost a police inspector. We are sad about that. We don't want to lose more men. We don't want to lose more Nigerians. We don't want to lose more citizens of Rivers State. So we have a duty to prevent breakdown of law and order, and that's why we have our men taking over those secretariats while we await the outcome of the case in court. So immediately the court makes the pronouncement, we will vacate the secretariat. Question 4. Oh, okay, I've answered it. He said, when will the police vacate the secretariat? Yes, as soon as the court made its pronouncement, we will vacate. You are all aware.
We will vacate the place. Do you believe in prayers? Do you? Now, see, don't think it's actually like a stupid question, okay? There is a reason, because I want to pray for you. Or I'll just ask somebody to do it. See, Baba Adeboye, pray for us.
You won't need a car to travel. You won't need an aeroplane to travel. You will just say, I want to go to London. And you'll be in London. Whether you believe it or not, the time is coming when you...
Do you believe it or not? Did you say amen? Or you're just there laughing? You're lost. And when we talk about loss and losses, Nigerians have been recording these losses, preventable losses, right? That people have become more or less like so wear out. And I'm talking about those of us who are so good in giving advices to Nigerians, especially, you know, there is hunger in the land, there is this or that. Say, why don't you go and start a small farm? Why don't you go and go put a small farm? There are land everywhere. People don't want to go back to farms. This couple went back to farms, right? And for the 3rd time, they have been planting maize this year. 3 times. They've not been able to actually harvest a cob of agbado. Go back to farm. Go back to farm. Some of you actually really do underplay or downplay what is really happening in that place. Like, at least you are not in northern Nigeria. How come the Fulani terrorists and their cows could do this in Ogun State?
Good morning, Nigerians all over the world. This is a farmland somewhere around Ijebu-Ode in southwestern part of Nigeria. As you can see from this video, this is a maize farmland. We planted maize on this particular farmland last month. That is about 1 month ago now that we planted maize on this farmland, and it has germinated. As at yesterday evening, I was still on this farmland, you know, weeding, because it took some period for us to experience the rainfall here. And eventually when it rained, we were happy that, oh, thank God, we are going to, let's weed. So we are going to have a bumper harvest. On getting to this farmland this morning to resume work, I realized that there had been an invasion of cattle by some Fulani herders. They brought in their cattle. As you can see, these are their footprints, and this is cow dung. As you can see, they came in overnight. These are some of the scarecrow that we put on the farm to, you know, to prevent an attack of birds. They pull it down, you can see. So they ransacked the entire farmland and destroyed it. So you can see, these are their footprints, and these are cow dungs everywhere. Look at it. Look at it. Because of the current situation we are experiencing in Nigeria, that we are experiencing serious hardship and hunger. Some of us deem it fit to make use of all the available lands in our neighborhood, you know, for crop farming, so as to ease our long suffering. But here is what we are getting in return. Some few years back, a particular government tagged Nigerian youth as lazy. They said we are lazy. Majority of us are university graduates, some of us from other higher institutions of learning. We are not lazy in Nigeria. Nigerian youth are not lazy, for crying out loud. It's just that we suffer all forms of oppression, intimidation from people in authorities and people like this. These are the kind of oppression that we get. Look at the entire farmland. It has been brought down. Look at it. Fulani destroy them. Look at it. See, they uprooted where they can uproot, and they graze. Look at it. These are crops already that have already germinated. See, look at everywhere. See their footing. See how they attack the whole place overnight. And even when you meet them to take their cattle away, they are going to attack you. They are equipped to bring out guns or come out with sword. And even when you take them to police station or trying to, they always have their way against the farmer. You understand? So the farmer is always at the receiving end. That is the kind of oppression we are getting from Nigeria. So if you are a Nigerian and you stay in anywhere you are abroad, please let this video go viral. Let it get to other parts of the world. This is the kind of oppression. This is the kind of intimidation. This is the kind of ill-treatment we are getting from our leaders, from our so-called fellow countrymen. Here is it, please. We cannot kill ourselves now. You people have decided to mortgage our future, but yet we just want to survive, having something to eat so that we can live. And again, they don't even want us to live. They don't want us to breathe. Do they just want to kill all Nigerians? If you kill all Nigerians, then who are you going to rule? Who are you going to lead? Please, come to our aid in Nigeria. This is getting too much. Presently, most of our active farmers that are in northern part of Nigeria, they have been displaced by these so-called Fulani herders that have been brandished as a bandit or whatever. But in most cases, they have displaced most of the active farmers. They are dealing with cultivating large vans of land. Most of them now, they have been displaced. They are in the IDP camps when they should be at the farm. And for those of us that we are even doing all this, little farming in the south, see the kind of treatment that we are getting from them as well. They've just as you can see, this is a live video. So is this a war of hunger? Are they trying to, wage war on us through hunger? This intimidation is just, this oppression is just unbearable. It's becoming, Good morning, Nigerians.
How many times would they tell you before you know that Nigeria is not for you? Now they never leave you. They have left you behind. Photo, not be juju be that. Sorry, oh. May God not allow them, make them kill you.
And me? At least you could all probably hear the fear and the pain in his voice. That's the third time they are planting there. And the third time they are destroying them. Probably same set of people. And what would Nigerians do? They make videos to show to us as they come and help us. So who is coming? Nobody is coming, dear. Nobody. No one is coming. Not if nobody. And you know the saddest thing? Even if they were ever arrested, apprehended, they will be released the following day or the following week. In Nigeria right now, I don't know how many of you know this. All of the people charged with terrorism, treason by the criminal government of Nigeria, they have all been freed. Except Nnamdi Kanu. And why is that? They charged Showore for treason. They want to overthrow government. They wrote her off, return his passport and all of that done. Our own person, Oluye Sunday Igboho, held in Benin Republic, the same DSS withdrew all their charges against him in Nigeria, like we are not looking for you anymore, gave a green light to Talon in Benin Republic, and just like that. But Nnamdi Kanu, why is that? So those of you probably think the Igbos they always love to claim victims. Any small thing they love they love to always say they are victims. If you are not seeing it, if you are not seeing this systemic profiling and targeting, you are a bigot. There's no excuse for that. I promise you. Listen to this.
But the Attorney General also takes instruction from the Commander-in-Chief, President and Commander-in-Chief. So that was why we were appealing to the Commander-in-Chief to direct the Attorney General to invoke Section 174 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic as amended, Section 174 1C, and Section 174 subsection 1C, and subsection 3 basically talks about the powers of the Attorney General, that an Attorney General at any time before a judgment is rendered has the authority or the power to be able to withdraw his suit. So we want him to take care of that, and also to invoke Section 107 and Section 108 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, which basically talks about discontinuance of a criminal case and the withdrawal from prosecution. So we believe there has been a precedent set in other cases, whereby recently the chairman of Metiala was at the determination of the court. His matter was settled. Sunday Boho, at the determination of the court, his matter was gone. So at the determination of the court, and rightfully so, his matter were gone. Emefle, I keep pronouncing his name wrong, the former CBN governor was granted bail. Emefiele was granted bail. It now appears that as if Nnamdi Kanu, who was also charged alongside these other people for the same treason, appears that there is one set of rules for the rest of Nigeria and one set of rules for an Igbo man. And there is also one set of rules where a Northerner is freed, a Yoruba man is freed, a Middle Belt, South man is freed, and then when it comes to the Igbo man, he will continue to languish in prison. So there's an issue of injustice, regardless of the expectation of bias that people may have regarding Nnamdi Kanu or not. Is immaterial, is inconsequential. But in this country, everyone is subject to the rule of law. And I'm so happy that Justice Nyako recognizes that and has given an opportunity for all the parties to come together. And we're appealing to the president. I have known the president to be a listening and attentive president, and that I would not wish to see the president to do otherwise. Doing otherwise will render the Southeast to continue to be savaged by bloodshed. Every single day, many people, scores of people are being killed mercilessly in the Southeast, including military officers. The high level of crime and criminality, banditry, assassination, and kidnapping continues to be the order of the day.
And these people are all taking advantage.
These are all taking advantage of the incarceration of Mr. Kanu, because all these people are agitating that he's still there. But once we remove Mazi Kanu from de facto, then it's a lot easier to know those who are benefiting economically from crime in the Southeast and making Southeast ungovernable. And a lot of people are not going home. But
is that not what I said too? They couldn't present anything or any evidence against Nnamdi Kanu. Rather, they just want to keep him there. Adjourn the case. Because he is Igbo. It is so hard not to see it that way. It is so hard. Like there's no amount of pretense you want to try to build around this. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody knows that Boko Haram and his gang, they considered everyone that contributes or was contributing to waking the consciousness of the people up. At the time, you are considered as a terrorist. Why Fulani terrorist? Boko Haram terrorists. They call them repentant. They are releasing terrorists and they are jailing activists in Nigeria. Trump up their charges just to make themselves feel better. We all know that. Even though when they are doing their best to at least find something that they can actually probably try Nnamdi Kanu with, they are still finding it difficult. You know that. I know that. Even some of you who wanted him to be jailed or killed, you still couldn't find any ground to say, okay, this is why we're going to kill him. Oh. This is why we're going to jail him. Oh. Your court couldn't even try him. I'm just saying. So tell me how you are going to try and build something around it that is going to make it look like it's not about being Igbo. What did Nnamdi Kanu do than what they told you he did? Release him, let him go. Then we can see those behind the insecurity here and there. Your unknown, politically sponsored unknown gunmen that you actually know. So you see? And that is why we said that the terrorists are still roaming. People talk about them. They are holding meetings here and there. What should we do to these terrorists and their cows? So what will you do? Even now, you probably will think of justice should take its course. We need justice. Even cows get it. I mean, even cows self, they need justice. See them at the Federal High Court, Abuja, yesterday. I don't know if those cows were there as litigants or defendants, whether they were engaged or they were just like roaming around as usual, but they were there. They themselves, they were listening to the court proceedings inside. It's a contraption for a reason, okay? So somebody shared a video and they said from last night around the Seme border, they counted over 200 trucks loaded with what they believe is rice. Now, there have been some confusing sort of, report on that. Some said, no, all of the seized imported rice by custom, they were being loaded and being moved across Nigeria to be shared to Nigerians because of this hunger. Others said, no, they'll be smugglers. I don't know what they are, but thousands of trucks have loaded what is believed to be rice, bags of rice. And you probably will see more of them around. Some said, if they were smuggling all of this inside Nigeria, from where? And why do they need to smuggle them in when they can just import them in, pay duties, and then crash the price of food, as some people have been expecting? I still haven't gotten any answer, but watch the video.
I don't know. Because of this thing, I think it might be two.
It should be two.
Bọ́dá, mélòó ló wà wájú? Mélòó ni wájú?
2,000.
Ta ló bí ní 2,000? Mélòó ló wà wájú? Mélòó ló wà wájú?
Méjì wájú. Ẹni sanwó wọn.
Kí ló sọ?
Agbára yóò gbé ni.
Agbára ló ń gbé. Ẹ ṣé màjà.
Àìsí fún wákàtí àìsí.
Nigeria, we are hungry. No food, no light, no water. Pepper is cost, garri is cost. We can't even buy rice. See our children hungry. No food, no rice, no water. Pepper water, pepper is cost, garri is cost. We can't even buy rice.
So that was the Nigeria-Benin Republic border, dark, pitch dark, or pitch black. No light, no nothing, and anything could go through. There is still no real answers. No answer to that, to those mysterious trucks moving in the middle of the night into Nigeria. Or someone came and said, "Na customs with 2,000." Like somebody actually said, like it's about 2,000 trucks. 2,000 of, hey. No one has a clue what is inside and if it's actually rice. No one has a clue if they are consumable, if they are actually safe for consumption. But they are going to probably flood them if they are not already rebagging them in Nigeria right now. But if it is the government that sees them and they are going to distribute them, right, to the IDPs, to the poor Nigerians, isn't it better for somebody to come out and tell you or show you the proof that that rice or that food is safe for anybody's consumption? I don't think the kind of hunger within Nigeria right now, I don't think that hunger need any explanation much. Just bring the food. We'll discuss about the effects later. Sad situation, you'll say. Now, I have two options because I've got more to say, but I'm going to keep them because of my time. I've only got just about an hour to go. I want you, my viewers, right, all of you brethren, I want you to tell me which would you prefer. Should we go take calls, have a chat around this, or we should just use that hour to read the 12th chapter of White Malice? That is the continued reading. So you will tell me. When I come back, I'll see your choice. And then we will do just that, okay? So if it's going to be phone calls or if it is going to be reading, either way, right? Don't go anywhere without leaving your own like, which is your offering. I'll be back. Speaking tongue. Thank you very much. I think a lot of us prefers that we read. Indeed, we are already lagging behind anyway. So we have hang on, no, chapter 12. So we have to start from chapter 12, page 143. So thank you so much. Listen, if you really have to go, what you need to do is to try and leave, what do you call it? Your offering, which is a like the broadcast. Okay. So I will try and read as fast as possible. Not like a reading fast, though. I don't mean that. So to those of us who have been following this historical piece as well, why did the white or the West choose to truncate our supposed beautiful drive towards independence? Because they feared if Russia was going to grab us, and they wouldn't let that happen without a fight, even, you know. So let's read chapter 12, okay? And that's going to be Voice of Africa. Let me see if my camera can pick it. Can you pick it? Come. No, it can't. Or maybe this one can. So that's chapter 12. It says the Voice of Africa. Sorry if you can see it. So let's get on with it. After independence, Nkrumah had asked his trusted friend, George Padmore, to move from Britain to Ghana to take on the role of advisor to the Prime Minister on African affairs. It will be a crucial post in the implementation of their shared vision for Africa. Padmore will report directly to the Prime Minister, not to the Foreign Ministry, which would give him considerable freedom. Padmore accepted the post with pleasure and started work in December 1957. His wife, Dorothy Pizza, joined him in Accra, and they settled into a sunny home with a beautiful garden of flamboyant trees and bougainvillea. But Padmore had no plans to relax. He was working at top speed. He wrote in a letter to Webb Du Bois in February 1958, as he threw himself into the planning of the first Conference of Independent African States in Accra in April 1958. For this, he went on a tour of all the capitals of the independent states. His chief aim was to give liberation movements all over the continent the help and support they needed on a range of fronts. His office established and coordinated the African Affairs Center, a large complex of buildings near the Accra airport, to house refugees and students from the colonies of Africa. Alfred Hutchinson, the refugee from South Africa, that's Hutchinson, who unexpectedly turned up at the AAPC, was immediately taken under Padmore's wing and given shelter and support. Felix Roland Momi, the anti-colonist leader from Cameroon, who attended the AAPC, proceeded to use Accra as a base from which to organize the guerrilla movement in his home country against French occupation. Education was the central focus of support for freedom fighters. The feeling noted T. Ras Makonnen, who ran the African Affairs Center, said, "My feeling was that we had to provide a training as well as refuge. We would be fools to let the communists train such people." Robert Mugabe, who would be the first democratically elected premier of Zimbabwe in 1980, went to Ghana in 1958, where he studied and taught. There he met his future wife, the Ghanaian Stanley Efron. Hastings Banda, who became the founding prime minister of independent Malawi in 1964, benefited from Ghana's support as well. He practiced medicine in Kumasi in Ghana until Nkrumah persuaded him in 1958 to return to Nyasaland to take part in its campaign for independence. One student from Nyasaland, Bright Yodo, recalled in 1961 that it was because of Padmo's ability to connect the changes in Ghana with Nyasaland's own struggle that he went to Accra to study. I was much impressed, he said, by his simplicity, by his sincerity, by his sympathy with my efforts to educate myself, and above all, by his great interest in my country, Nyasaland. Nyodo completed his primary and secondary school education in Ghana. Padmo took care of Africa, observes Cameron Duodu, enabling Nkrumah to devote himself to the affairs of Ghana. Their dream of Pan-Africanism was achieving real success in some part of the continent. On the 1st May 1959, Nkrumah and President Sékou Touré of Guinea announced that their two countries had forged a union with common citizenship and a shared national flag and anthem. The two leaders also extended an invitation to other African states to join them. President William Tubman of Liberia invited Touré and Nkrumah to a conference in mid-July at Saniquili, a small Liberian village. After intense negotiations over 4 days, they issued the Saniquili Declaration, which formulated 6 principles for the achievement of a community of independent African states. The CIA, monitoring developments in Ghana, took note of Padmo's central role. In June 1959, a report was sent to CIA headquarters after the inauguration by the Convention People's Party of a school for party members to train them in political work. It noted that Padmo gave the first lecture, which concluded with the prediction that within the next 50 years, the whole world will be towing the socialist line. The new school, noted the report, was located at the African Affairs Center near the airport and took place every weekend. In early 1959, Padmo predicted confidently that there would be a United States of Africa in our own lifetime, in all Africa. But his own lifetime was about to be suddenly cut short. He was feeling increasingly unwell and went to London for medical treatment, where he was diagnosed of a liver ailment. On 23rd September 1959, he died at age 56. Nkrumah was overwhelmed with grief. One day, he said sorrowfully in a tribute over Ghana's radio, "The whole of Africa will surely be free and united, and when the final tale is told, the significance of George Padmo's work will be revealed." Pizza carried her husband's ashes from London to Accra, where she was met at the airport by a somber group. Arrangements were made for the laying of his ashes to rest within a wall at Christian's Burj Castle. Patrice Lumumba was one of the special guests invited to the memorial, along with Nnamdi Azikiwe of Nigeria. But it was impossible for Lumumba to attend. Based in Stanleyville, where he was immersed in political work and speaking at public rallies, he was under heavy surveillance by the colonial administration. Sir Clare Drake an African-American sociologist working at the University of Ghana, was invited to the ceremony. It was a powerful symbol of return. He wrote later, for those who had been cruelly taken away from Africa's shores. It took place on a parapet in the castle with the slave pens down below us where they used to hold the slaves before they send them on across the Gulf of Guinea. Nkrumah looked out where the surf was beating in against the walls of the slave castle, recorded Drake. Then the prime minister drew a link between the history of Padmore's family. His grandfather had been a slave in Trinidad, and the centuries of evil witnessed by the castle. Nkrumah spoke with great emotion, in quotes, "Who knows, but from this very spot, Padmore's ancestors were carried out across the ocean there, while the kinsmen stood weeping here as silent sentinel. We've brought his ashes home to rest." Then Nkrumah slammed them up in the wall, wrote Drake, got his handkerchief, and started crying. The place in the wall containing Padmore's ashes was marked with a small sign, George Padmore, born in Trinidad, died in London. He loved Africa more than life. Requiescat in peace. I don't know, that kind of was emotional somehow. I'm just trying to hold back tears. I'm an emotional person, right? So I could hold it back. That's something. But let's continue. In Ghana and around the world, many people were celebrating the achievements of Padmore's life, but the CIA was deliberately smearing his reputation. In December 1959, the CIA-backed journal Encounter published a critical article on Padmore by Russell Warren Ho, the journalist with ties to the CIA, who had attended the Ibadan seminar in March. The article referred to a revolt of other African leaders against Padmore at the All-African People's Conference, and portrayed him as contemptuous of Africans. The claims of this article have been interrogated by Carol Posgrove, an expert on Padmore. In quote, Howe's CIA association and the identifiable errors of facts and interpretation in his article, she observes, undermine its credibility. Criticism of Padmore had appeared in Encounter long before his death. A scathing review of his 1956 book, Pan-Africanism or Communism, described it as infuriating. It classified Padmore among those who have revolted against communist conduct and cynicism, but can never free themselves from communist ideology. So the review was written by Rita Inden, who was carefully selected for the task. Michael Joselson, the CIA agent who had set up the Congress for Cultural Freedom, had told Irving Kristol, the co-editor of Encounter, that he should run a review by one of our people. Elsewhere, Joselson described Inden as one of us. So Pizza remained in Accra until her death in 1964, when she suffered a heart attack. Like her husband, she died young at 58. Padmore's death left a gaping
toll in the Pan-Africanist activities of Nkrumah's government. To fill it, substantial changes were made in the organization of his office. They were intended, explained Nkrumah, to put the work begun by the late Mr. George Padmore on a permanent basis. The long-winded name of the Office of the Advisor on African Affairs became the more succinct Bureau of African Affairs, known as the BAA. Aloysius K. Baden, an ex-serviceman from World War II, who had been Padmore's assistant, was made secretary of the Bureau. Soon, he became director. Ambitious plans were made and swiftly implemented for the expansion of the structure created by Padmore to include an information office, a research department, a protocol division, a printing press and publication section, a library, a linguistic secretariat, and a conference section. A new advisory body named the African Affairs Committee was established by Nkrumah as a way of fusing the Bureau, the African Affairs Center, and the All African People's Conference Secretariats. Weekly meetings were held, gathering together some of the most important figures of Ghanaian politics. Nkrumah, who was chair of the committee, attended every meeting. At the first meeting, on 19th October 1959, Kojo Bosio and Nathaniel Welbeck, who were close to Nkrumah and had been members of his government since independence in 1957, attended as representatives of the Convention People's Party. At a meeting on 19th November 1959, the African Affairs Committee resolved to create an intelligence service expressly to deal with the African affairs. The idea of such an intelligence service had been supported by Padmore before his death. It would supplement and be separate from the Foreign Research Service Bureau, FRSB, Ghana's intelligence service, which was attached to the Foreign Ministry. It was agreed that the Bureau would appoint several agents as political attaches to each Ghanaian diplomatic mission in Africa. They would use their official cover to collect information and to provide support to liberation movements. The agents would be permitted to use the wireless transmitter in the mission, employing a separate code for communication with headquarters. The Bureau will use the diplomatic bag for the transmission of messages and supplies, but under a separate seal. Borden undertook perilous journeys throughout Africa under various guises in order to communicate with the Bureau's network of agents. He conveyed Nkrumah's directives along with medical supplies and anti-colonial literature to be given out to freedom fighters. The political activist, Kofi Batsa, who was not yet 30 years of age, was the principal research officer at the Bureau. He traveled widely and used his role as a journalist to cover to make contact with freedom fighters. In quote, I traveled continuously. I traveled throughout West Africa. I went to Kenya, Tanganyika, Zanzibar, to the Congo and Angola, to all those countries where there was a liberation movement slowly developing and where the prospects of independence were on the horizon. I made, for example, 28 trips in 1960. The first year of this activity, I worked closely with a whole generation of leaders. Requests for help from outside Ghana were met with expressions of solidarity and, whenever possible, practical assistance. We in Ghana, replied Baden in July 1960 to a Mozambican freedom fighter in exile in Swaziland, He said, we in Ghana sympathize with you in your struggle and your sufferings and are willing to give every possible assistance in our power. Nathaniel Welbeck established a close collaboration between the Bureau and the Convention People's Party. Tall, athletic, and a keen stamp collector, Welbeck was a much-liked and flamboyant minister of state. In May 1960, he became chairman of the Bureau. A letter from Welbeck to Nkrumah headed Operation Independence, transfer of financial aid to freedom fighters, reveals the confident vision of the Bureau. The Ghana government, it said, had made its intention clear to give financial assistance to all freedom fighters in their attempt to free themselves from imperialist yoke. Fortunately, we are in a better position than most, if not more than all the independent African states, who have also pledged themselves to that end. We are in a better position because we have the effective machinery to deal with the problem. Our financial position is rosier. The letter added, we have well-laid, flexible plans to suit in each turn the ever-changing maneuvers of the imperialist tactics. The Bureau provided scholarship to 14 Mozambicans to study party organizations in Ghana. It organized their travel carefully. Special permits were arranged for their journey to Accra via Tanganyika, and their expenses were covered by the Bureau. Their travel also depends on the help and protection of liberation movements and routes. Simon Zukas, a Zambian freedom fighter, recalled many years later the valuable support provided by Ghana. In 1960, while Zukas was living in exile in the UK, Reuben Kamanga, one of the co-founders of the Anti-Federation Action Committee, I'll take that again. They said, while Zukas was living in exile in the UK, Reuben Kamanga, one of the co-founders of the Anti-Federation Action Committee, went to London from Cairo and obtained a donation of some £30,000 from the Ghanaian High Commissioner. He entrusted it to me for disbursement on instructions from himself or from Kenneth Kaunda. Zukas wrote, I kept the money on deposit at my bank and disbursed or remitted from it when instructed. I accounted fully to Reuben Kamanga when we met again in 1964. By early 1960, freedom fighters were flocking to Ghana from South Africa, the Rhodesias, Tanganyika, Algeria, Cameroon, Angola, and the other European ruled colonies. The Bureau of African Affairs provided them with visas, clothing, a small stipend, basic toiletries, and literacy classes. Ghana was the base of anti-imperialist movements, stated Unde Otu Maza, the leader of One Cameroon, a branch in British Cameroon of the Union of the People of Cameroon, led by Felix Roland Momi. It was our haven, our springboard. It was from Ghana that members of the UPC took off for further studies or military training in China and Vietnam. We were very welcome, and our travels financed. Nkrumah was always in the forefront of anti-colonialist movements. Under Nkrumah's guidance, the Bureau developed centers of education for the freedom fighters and exiles. In November 1960, the Kwame Nkrumah Youth Training School was opened for young people from Unyasa land and for 108 Gambians, of whom 50 returned to their country after completing a course in youth leadership. In 1959, Nkrumah initiated plans for a college at Winneba, a port in south of Ghana, to offer training in ideology, economics, and administration to students from Ghana and elsewhere in Africa. At the dedication ceremony in 1960, Nkrumah said, in quote, "I see before my mind's eye a great monolithic party growing up, united and strong, spreading its protective wings over the whole of Africa, from Algiers in north to Cape Town in the south, from Cape Guardafui in the east to Dakar in the west. The transformation of the Winneba site into an academy for the training and education of future leaders of Africa was a profoundly meaningful act. Winneba had been built as a slaving port, Port Winneba, in the late 17th century by the Royal African Company, an English trading company under royal patronage. Between 1662 and 1731, the RAC transported approximately 212,000 slaves, of whom 44,000 died en route. Many were branded with the letters DY for the company's governor, the Duke of York. Others were branded with the company's initials, RAC, on their chests. The company's profits substantially increased the wealth and the financial power of those who controlled the city of London at the time. The Bureau of African Affairs maintained one of the largest presses in Africa, publishing newspapers and magazines to spread Nkrumah's Pan-Africanism or Pan-Africanist views across the continent. Best known was Voice of Africa, which was published every Friday. The Spark and its French version, L'Etincelle, the African Chronicler, Freedom Fighter, and the Information Bulletin on African Affairs. Batsa was editor of both Voice of Africa and The Spark. The message of the Voice of Africa was clear: in unity lies our salvation. It encouraged its readers to learn from mistakes and to build a future of freedom. According to the Voice of Africa, ours is the voice of Africa, the voice of the African peoples, terrorized, enslaved, deceived, and exploited. Ours is the voice of peace and freedom. We bring the dawn of a new era in the world, the dawn of a new Africa. Long live freedom fighters of Africa. Long live the African Revolution. Long live a union government of Africa. This was their own motto, by the way. The journal published a wide range of articles, such as Imperialist Awakening and Dangers of NATO. Dangers of NATO war or NATO war. Let me take that again. They're like headlines there, right? Some prominent ones. They said, such as the imperialist weakening. It's not even awakening. And dangers of NATO war bases in Africa. Above all, read. It instructed earnestly. Read everything. Read something. Know something about everything. They said, read everything. Something of everything. It will enable you to develop a critical acumen, to sharpen your sword for the rapidly approaching final blow, showdown with the foreign oppression. Read everything. Read something about everything. This focus on reading very much represented the convictions of Nkrumah himself, a voracious reader. Genoveva Maiyegun recorded Nkrumah's effort to encourage reading among his close associates. He said, "You don't read enough," he would declare to me or to his other close associates. He would turn to the shelves behind him. These were full of books, and he would carefully study the titles. Then he would take one from a shelf. The person before him might be a minister or a civil servant, or it might be me. "Let me have a summary of this book," he would say. "I have to prepare a paper on the subject." This might or might not have been true, but it forced the recipients not only to read, but to thoroughly study and absorb the subject. Wrote Genoveva Maiyegun. Nkrumah was certainly bookish, but he was by no means an intellectual snob. He and the staff of the BAA were eager to communicate with as many people as possible throughout Africa. But they were aware that most of them had never been given the opportunity to learn to read. It was therefore decided to include cartoons in the publications, which visualized the important message of unity. Batsa was proud of the Bureau's achievements in delivering Voice of Africa and the Spark all over the continent. We were banned in many countries, still under colonial rule, he wrote, but we managed to reach most countries by one means or another. No frontier was safe. The British-ruled Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasa land banned Voice of Africa in July 1960, alleging it was seditious. Alphonse Ebassa, a freedom fighter in Sierra Leone, requested more copies. Propaganda, he told the Bureau, was proving to be more powerful than guns. Voice of Africa carried information about another means of information and propaganda, the transmission times and wavelengths of Radio Ghana. Each transmission will start with the sound of drums and station identification. This is the Voice of Africa coming to you from Radio Ghana, Accra. For 3 hours a day, explained Nkrumah in a speech to mark the opening of the Ghana External Broadcasting Service. Programs were broadcast from Ghana in Arabic, English, French, Hausa, Portuguese, and Kiswahili. 21 news bulletins were broadcast daily, as well as news talks and newsreels to Africa and throughout the world. The voice of this service will necessarily be the voice of Ghana, declared Nkrumah family. Indeed, it will be the voice of Africa. The purpose of the service was to provide accurate accounts of events that were not available from foreign-controlled and foreign-dominated radio stations. In Ghana, these foreign radio stations included Voice of America, which was broadcast from Liberia, and the BBC. Voice of America was overseen by the U.S. Information Agency, known as USIA, which coordinated at that time with the CIA. According to Christopher Simpson, in Science of Coercion, USIA and CIA work was first coordinated through country plans, monitored by area specialists at President Truman's Secretive Psychological Strategy Board, established in 1951, and later at the National Security Council under President Esinowa. The news items produced in the Radio Ghana newsroom were given to the various language sections to translate and broadcast. The actual delivery was entrusted to broadcasters recruited from the language areas. Cameron Duodu, who was chief writer in the newsroom at one stage of his career, recalls that these broadcasters would have been recommended or at least approved by political parties whose Pan-African sympathies were known to the Bureau of African Affairs. Duodu's contributions were initially read in English by Sam Morris, a West Indian broadcaster who worked at Nkrumah's publicity secretariat with a translation in French by the Prime Minister's French interpreter. Later, Duodu read his own commentaries. I enjoyed doing my stint as a pioneer African affairs commentator. It reflected many years later because I chose the subject myself and no one told me how to treat them. He appreciated this opportunity to keep in touch with developments throughout Africa and to tell people about them. I consider it a duty, he explains, to pass on my knowledge. The activities of Ghana's Bureau of African Affairs were carefully monitored in Washington. The Bureau was heavily criticized in a report titled Ghanaian Subversion in Africa, which was prepared by the State Department with assistance from a knowledgeable CIA representative. If Nkrumah had been shown the report, he would have been delighted by its claims. Ghana's influence or interference, it judged, it felt in all sections of all the continents. The core of the widespread subversion activities, he stated, was Ghana's Bureau of African Affairs. Under the direct supervision of Nkrumah, it masterminds the activities of more than 100 agents throughout Africa. Other subversion activities included the African Affairs Center, housing political exiles. Word of mouth underground is another technique used to advantage, observed the report with disapproval. Perhaps the most important single tool in the subversion movement, it added, were the institutions providing education. The end of chapter 12. Now, I have 20 minutes to go. Okay. And I can actually use that 20 minutes to take one or two calls. All right. But that's the chapter 12 of the White Malice. We have other books here that we are still going to read, though. But you see that White Malice is a long read. See how thick it is. See how thick. Let me see if I can show you through here. See how thick the book is compared to this one. Okay, let's try this. Right? Look at this one. This is how big it is. So you see the size? Like this. So we still have a very long way to read. And yeah, Harold Smith story. See, Harold Smith story. That's going to be next. Then we have the destruction of a black civilization. This one, Harold Smith story is donated by my very good Templar here, brother Oshifodunrin family. On behalf of the Oshifodunrin family. So we got this one, Harold Smith's story. We'll get to that at some point. So the White Malice is still a long read, but it's so important that we read them because a lot of people don't really, a lot of us don't really fancy sitting down to read. But if you sit there and I am reading it to you, and somehow, right, you are following it, I could actually encourage you to become a reader too. You go and buy the book, you read, you begin to, it's so good. Did you hear the chapter we read there? Nkrumah, Awolowo, Azikiwe. These are kind of people who are like in their record, from their record, right? They were so very much interested in education, educating those who are supposed to be the leaders of tomorrow, the leaders of the Africa. They were so interested. The ideals, the ideas that they want them to promote and project. Pan-Africanism, one Africa, this or that, right? All of this needed education. You needed to educate the people you want to carry out your ideas. That's what we are doing on Maiyegun General Political. We are educating ourselves. And I'm going to keep encouraging a lot of you to be like that too. You know, pick up the book, read, kind of, read, because I don't even know what to say, right? So thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Now, let me see if I can open the line. I can still take calls, right? Or maybe just 1 or 2 calls, right? I think I can still do that. Let's see. Because what happened is that today is Akinola's swimming class. And you know, say for here, it's called responsibility. You know, I have to kind of get an email for his swimming class. A great one, right? So, and I have to be very timely too. You can help me do that. So I know some of you are trying to cut through now, but the call keeps dropping, right? Keep trying. Let's see if any of them will get through. And I can take 1 or 2. Ogechi. Thank you, dear sister, okay, for that. And to everyone else who doesn't want to use the super chat and all that, right? If you enjoy these chats, as always, on Maiyegun General Political, you can actually support my platform, okay? Now, it actually spends money now to keep the platform happening every now and then, okay? So for every penny you give and support this platform, I will be saying thank you to you like about 100 times. So you can also buy me a coffee. That one is in the comment, okay? You can use the link to just buy me a $5 coffee. That too is there. You can use my PayPal. You can use my, what's that one again? GoFundMe as well, whatever. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Or maybe we should just kind of call it a day early enough. If the line is not going to let you get through, I can imagine what it is like for some of you who are trying to be like, and it just keeps dropping. I don't know why. Let's go get ready for the evening then. Okay. Whatever you want to share this afternoon, keep it for later this evening. And when I come back later, right, we can have a probably more relaxed, extended convo. Thank you so much for this afternoon, okay? I will see you later. Stay safe and take it easy. Good afternoon.
Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ làmọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Maiyegun ti dé o ọ̀rẹ́ ara ìlú. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Lórí Facebook, lórí YouTube. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Gbogbo bó ṣe ń lọ ni Maiyegun já wa sí. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Àṣírí ọ̀jẹ̀lú kì í bò níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Bó bá ṣe eré àní Maiyegun máa wí. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Ó sì tún ṣe eré wàá gbọ́ níbẹ̀ o. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Maiyegun Diary Political. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Godfatherism kò sí lọ́rọ̀ Maiyegun. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Ẹ farabalẹ̀ sẹ́ o kẹgọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu o. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. Àní Maiyegun làwa mọ̀ tó dòdòdò. Maiyegun Diary Nayibi #1. àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Maiyegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí Facebook. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Lórí YouTube. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Bọ́ bàbá gbé wúrẹ́. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Ijó ìgbádìyẹ. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Bí pẹ̀sìdó bá rúfin o. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Bí gómìnà kówó jẹ. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Ọlọ́pàá tí ń gba rìbá. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Aṣòfin tí ń rúfin o. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Òpùrọ́ olóṣèlú. Maiyegun máa wí. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé. Àní ẹ̀sùn ràkì. Maiyegun ti dé.